So Monday, and a relatively good day for the objects. I was in constant vigilance, as always, when looking throughout the world of curbside objects, and I had quite the luck. It seems as though no matter what I do, these objects keep springing up through, I don't know, this sort of interaction that they have with everything that I'm doing and with the world around me. And it seems as though, you know, despite me crossing the same paths over and over again, every single day there's a new place to look, and every single day someone else has thrown something, or something has been discarded, or something has fallen or broken or been pieced off of whatever. And I think that's really quite a profound thing that these, like, more and more I realize this interaction that I have with these objects stems from a complete randomness, that these objects are infinite in that regard, as long as humanity exists in our ways in our life. Anyhow, I'll show you the objects as I go along. I'll start with this R, and it's quite funny because these letters keep popping back up again, and this R was found in the same place that the T and the Z were, and I was looking for a P, and perhaps maybe it was an R, and then I had only looked kind of half as hard as I should have. There's more. This one I had seen several times and never picked up, but I felt like it was goading me on, and I quite like it. I don't see the use of it in such a way, you know, carabiner of plastic, but it's not really so easily openable. But then again, it could probably be easily opened just by pressure. If it was holding on to something, it wouldn't work very well. I grappled with picking this one up. I mean, I picked it up right away, but I grappled with throwing it back down because it was just a piece of paper. It's just a box. I discovered later that it had a piece of felt in it, which is pretty nice. At the same time, it's still just a box. And perhaps this box can be something. Perhaps it can be something else. Perhaps it can contain an item, or convince people that it contains an item. There are many stories behind this box that, I don't know, I found it interesting that it was there, because it was such, it's like the idea of a precious item, but contained within this box. So the idea is based on the box, but at the same time there's no precious item in here. So what is it that this box is itself? If it's just kind of a has-been, or touched the precious item, maybe it didn't even touch anything at all. Maybe it was always empty. This cork is almost an interesting thing. Sabine asked me, because it was her birthday yesterday, she asked me if I wanted this, and I kind of hesitated and thought maybe I shouldn't pick it up because of how obvious an item it is. But then again, I don't know if all these items have their own stories. Perhaps maybe one of them is one I actually know, and out of champagne I've actually drank. I thought that might be a interesting storyline. And the fact that, you know, out of all these objects, you know, there's only one that has a personal attachment, and no one would ever know it's this. People could assume 10 other things, but no one would ever know that one would be that. And finally we have this one, which I found to be a very strange item. It appears to be a lid for something, but it doesn't have any thread on it, so it doesn't screw on. I was trying to figure out what this was. I thought it was pretty interesting. I liked it a lot, and it really called to me. I immediately had to pick it up, and it's the kind of thing you don't just let pass up. It's really weird how, there's all this vocabulary of things, but they're only coming out now that I see them, or now that my eyes are attuned to them. I wonder how many things that I missed before because I wasn't looking for them. Ah, here we go. Found the last one. He was hiding deep within the realms of my pocket. And I thought he went along with the other bike gear attachment that I had picked up because they seemed to fit together. And I had picked this one up, the plastic bit, before I picked this one up, and this one was about a block farther down, so it's clearly someone's, and sure enough, they do fit. They do fit together, as I thought. That's a really interesting discovery. How, objects lead to other objects, and if we're talking about the story making and the storytelling, that this is quite an interesting, you can almost trace how an object has come to its path. You can trace the way that things are broken and the way that things fall down on the street or are discarded, and I think that was quite fun, that even just by kind of sensing that these items fit together and through their linear kind of finding, they worked. And it was almost not that I was trying to look for the next item that would go along with this, and I didn't even know for certain if this would fit together, but it seems to have just happened. And as you keep saying, just let it happen as it happens. And this was definitely a very true example of that, and I think this whole day kind of solidified that thinking, that these objects don't necessarily need to be sought out as long as I am aware, and as long as I have the eyes for them and the time to take to look and the awareness to take into consideration, not to get trapped in my own little world where I don't see the rest, don't see the ground or the sky or the things, see everything, and be able to judge and let things be picked up as they will and let them find me as they will. Let the stories come through this linear progression of path walking. I don't know. I found that really, really exciting. I find it even more intriguing that it actually fit the exact way that I thought it would. Another thing I did today, besides the objects, because I feel like, I can prattle on and on for days and days about that, but in the end, I only just have someone else's garbage. I mean, as much as it's my treasure, I still feel like I need to assert my ability to make things, and that's where I need to as well, just as much as this, go. And today I did make a little bit of things. As you saw, I brought in my gears to the wood shop, and I found a couple pieces of scrap, and I went and cut a piece of piping out of the metal shop, and I just built this contraption, which was a prototype for the way that the gears worked, and I was really, really happy how well the 90-degree bevel worked with the gears, because I was pretty unsure when fitting them how this interaction would go, because it seemed like those teeth were really short, and I don't know if they would be perfect or ideal for that. So I'm really glad that it did turn out to work. And the next step, I guess, is to fine-tune that interaction and see if that can play into plastic, and figure out the hardware necessary, like putting the washer underneath the gears for better traction, and figuring out a better tightening system so that nothing kind of goes off or askew, because once those parts are in there, they can't move at all. And I was finding with, like, you'll even see in the video that I took, that, you know, any slight movement to the left or the right can pull the gear away and off its track, and also push it up so that it's not really sitting where it wants to be to turn perfectly. So I think it's a really good start. It's a really good step towards actually kind of, you know, this was the first day where I actually really thought I could go somewhere with this. I could actually do it. I could accomplish it. And because before it was kind of just, you know, the parts, the gears themselves. And now it becomes, I think, the fittings and the hardware for it, and all the necessary kind of interworkings and mechanisms that I need to create. Also, I need to decide what material I'm doing this in, because to kind of just have it in the wood, I feel like is sort of, it's not, to me, everything that I'm doing with the wood seems a bit unfinished to agree, which is okay if I'm, you know, if I'm not too strict about it. But I feel like maybe perhaps it would be a good thing in terms of, you know, where I want this to look and how I want this to look, to have it, maybe perhaps have these plastic gears, like I said. And it might be just easier to, you know, to just keep casting the gears rather than keep cutting them out, because I think I'm growing weary of that already, and I've only cut out, you know, like 20 or 30 gears. So I mean, maybe I don't have to cut that many more if I have them all, but perhaps it would just be simpler, just keep casting some, and maybe make 2 molds that I can cast and have like 4 casts a day or something like that, and that would serve my purpose pretty well.